Usually, when there's an assassination, the focus is on the victim and sending condolences to their family and loved ones. Well, it hasn't even been 24 hours since 2 Israeli embassy staffers were gunned down in Washington, D.C., but CNN has already moved past that. In fact, they're more worried about optics. Take a look at the moment when the shooter, Elias Rodriguez, was taken into custody.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Sound familiar? Yep, that's exactly what they were chanting at Columbia University when they were protesting a few weeks ago. And that's why CNN is oh so concerned, not about political violence, but about the optics for pro-Hamas and pro-Palestine protesters. Take a look.
As you go forward, with what you have seen, can you give us any sense, because you said you looked the shooter in the eyes, can you give us any sense of what you saw in him as he was sort of getting help and people were tending to him as if he too was a victim of seeing this?
Yeah, well, just to be clear, I heard about that part because we were in the secure room when he initially walked in. I just saw him screaming and then being handcuffed. But what I saw in his eyes, I mean, I went to Columbia for grad school, and I saw the same thing in his eyes as I saw in the eyes of all the protesters at Columbia. Nothing different between him and them.
But they did not create this horrific shooting. They did not, they didn't shoot.
They gave permission. They gave the permission. And they have called for this. They have called for Intifada revolution, which is the same thing he yelled last night.
Do you worry that there will be a conflation, though, of the two, those people who are speaking their mind, who really care about what is happening in Gaza, and those people who are like this person who did this horrific shooting, who intend to do harm?
A conflation. I mean, they are calling for Intifada. At Columbia University, they call for Intifada constantly. They're not quietly, they're loud. They're loud. You can hear it. They make recordings of themselves. So what's the difference?
Are you afraid?
Yes.
What will
We're
you do
all
about
afraid.
that?
Everyone should be afraid.
What are you doing to try to make yourself feel safer?
Well, you just go on and live your life. I'm a New Yorker. I remember 9/11. You can't let them make you be afraid. You have to go on. You have to live your life, and hopefully your government does things to protect you. Last night, our government failed us.
Jonathan Epstein, I know that they are going forward with this. There is expected to be charges in this case. We will see what happens, but I know you'll be watching, and we'll talk to you again as this goes forward. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry that you had to witness what you did. Kate?
Earlier in the day, I referred to them as media prostitutes, and this just proves it. That is prostitute behavior right there. They could spend their time focusing on the two victims who were shot. So take a look at this. They were both very young. By the way, they were about to get engaged, so very tragic here. They could even focus on the social media footprint of the shooter, like the New York Post did, according to them. Accused D.C. Jewish museum terrorist Elias Rodriguez reportedly posted a "Death to America," praised Luigi Mangione in unhinged posts. And that's why, when I previously talked about Luigi Mangione, I said, hey, we shouldn't idolize this. Even if you are sympathetic to his worldview, it's just creating a culture where political violence and assassinations are just more accepted. I mean, this is all happening against the backdrop of 2 high-profile assassination attempts, at least 2, against President Trump last year. I'm sure there were many more that were thankfully thwarted. And Jonathan Epstein was 100% right. Now, while not every pro-Gaza, pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine protester is going to become an assassin, all of these types of assassins are cut from that same kind of cloth, because it's that sort of extreme rhetoric that even allows this sort of incident to happen in the first place. I mean, what else do they possibly mean when they chant globalize the Intifada other than globalize the Intifada? Or what about when they chant from the river to the sea, which is such an obvious in-your-face call for the destruction, the total annihilation of Israel and Jewish people around the globe? It really is a joke. Now, with all of that being said, it is graduation, and students are graduating from Columbia University. But instead of barricading the library this time, their form of protest is tearing up their diplomas. Yep, the piece of paper that they worked 4 hard years to earn. And guess what they were chanting when they were burning their diplomas? Isn't that interesting? They're chanting free, free Palestine, the exact same thing that Elias Rodriguez, the shooter, the assassin, chanted as he was taken into custody. Here's another angle showing more students tearing up their diplomas and adding them to the fire.
It's very wet. We're going to tear our diplomas. They're too wet. Look at that one. Look at that photo. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Personally, I don't know how doing that is going to help your cause, but hey, go for it. And by the way, talk about privilege right there. Columbia, total tuition, if you paid for it out of pocket, would be over $400,000, and yet they have no qualms at all tearing up their diplomas, which again, they worked 4 supposedly hard years to earn. Someone explain it to me, please. Part of the reason that sort of violent extremism and rhetoric is allowed to grow is because of the misplaced empathy. Similar to that CNN segment earlier, where instead of focusing on the victims, it's all about supporting these extremists and their demands. And it's not just the misplaced empathy, right? A lot of it is just faulty reporting from the mainstream media. So I was on Instagram earlier this morning, and I started noticing all these huge influencer accounts with 500,000, 1 million followers or more, posting about the impending genocide in Gaza, the tens of thousands of children supposedly about to be slaughtered in the next 24 to 48 hours. But as with most of the reporting that the left gets, it was retracted a few hours later. And unfortunately, once you put something out there, it's impossible to unring that bell. It's very difficult to correct the record once that misinformation is out there. Take a look at this. This is from PBS, our taxpayer-funded dollars. Correction, PBS News has removed posts from X and Instagram featuring a quote from a UN official warning that children in Gaza could face imminent death due to starvation. The UN corrected the official statement, clarifying that the threat of starvation for children exists over the course of the next year, not 48 hours. PBS News will continue reporting on the war and efforts to deliver food aid there. And it wasn't just PBS. This was all over the mainstream media. This is NBC News. You can pause this. But it's that sort of misinformation that fuels this extremism. And I wish I could say it was a one-time thing, but it's not. We saw it when supposedly a hospital was bombed. Nope, it was a parking lot. We see it each time the death toll is revised downwards, usually by the tens of thousands. The reality is that 99% of the mis and disinformation in this war is against Israel and is being used to poison the public and radicalize these protesters against Israel. Just take a look at the comments when they announced that this man had been arrested and taken into custody.
Decedents. After the shooting, the suspect then entered the museum and was detained by event security. Once in handcuffs, the suspect identified where he discarded the weapon, and that weapon has been recovered, and he implied that he committed the offense. The suspect chanted, "Free, free Palestine," while in custody. The suspect has...
Now, look, I know that social media isn't always representative of the real world, right? A lot of people congregate in these small spaces, but these videos, these clips are being shared on all of the Free Palestine, pro-Palestine protest pages, and you see the exact same comments. And it's no coincidence that they're all commenting the exact same thing that the man was yelling as he was taken into custody. So the last story for today has to do with the press briefing that happened at the White House. Yesterday, President Trump met with South African President Ramaphosa. That was the meeting where President Trump showed him video, right? Video evidence of the white genocide that's happening in South Africa, including using Ramaphosa's own words against him. The chants of kill the Boer, kill the farmer, all those things, right? Well, the media is still trying to debunk this. But the problem is while the media was able to score a point on President Trump only in terms of technicality, they completely failed to dismantle the underlying argument. Take a look.
Sure. The president showed a video that he said showed more than 1,000 burial sites of white South Africans that he said were murdered. We know that that was not true and that the video wasn't showing that. So I wonder, why did the president choose to show that?
What's not true, Yamiche?
It's not true that the video was showing a burial site. It is unsubstantiated that that's the case.
No, it is true that that video showed the crosses that represent...
Which is what the president claimed.
The video showed images of crosses in South Africa about white farmers who have been killed and politically persecuted because of the color of their skin. And those crosses are representing their lives. Those crosses are representing their lives in the fact that they are now dead and their government did nothing about it. Are you disputing that there's no...
The fact that the video showed what the president claimed it showed, because it did not show that. But even more, what I'm asking you is who at the White House...
No, it did show that. It showed white crosses representing people who have perished because of racial persecution.
Verifies the videos that the president shows, and what protocols are in place when there's unsubstantiated information being put out for the world and world leaders to
Yamiche,
show?
what's unsubstantiated about the video? The video shows crosses that represent the dead bodies of people who were racially persecuted by their government. In fact, the Associated Press, of all places, has a picture of that very monument, and the caption from the Associated Press is, "Each cross marks a white farmer who has been killed in a farm murder." So it is substantiated, not just by that video and the physical evidence that everybody saw on display in the Oval Office, but also by another outlet in this room, the Associated Press. So you should take it up with them if you believe the claim is unsubstantiated, and that's a ridiculous line.
So Caroline Leavitt was spot on. Now, President Trump did misspeak when he claimed it was a burial site. The bodies aren't literally buried there, but every cross does represent a white farmer who has been killed. And you'll notice that the reporter who was trying to push Caroline Leavitt on this was not disputing the fact. What she was arguing about was, are bodies actually buried there? She wasn't arguing that, no, that's not what the crosses represent, because she very well knows that that's what they represent. As Caroline Leavitt pointed out, even the Associated Press is admitting that. As always, though, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That is what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. Now, I've long been vocal about my worries that we are entering a period of political violence. Not only were there the assassination attempts against President Trump, but there was also Luigi Mangione, and now Elias Rodriguez. Do you think that this is just a blip on the radar, or do you think we've entered new territory or a new window of time where we all need to be vigilant? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.